Hello, today on Learning with Board Games, we are going to be exploring Lewis and Clark, the Expedition. It's a fairly new game, and based on the theme, you'd think there could be some learning to be had in this game, maybe some history. And without getting into any spoilers, first I'm going to have my kids talk about how the game's played, what they thought of the game, and then we'll get into what can be learned while playing this game. Well, Quinn, Egan, could you quickly explain how the game of Lewis and Clark, the Expedition, is played?
You're trying to get to the end of the river.
Now, where is the river?
This is the river here. We're trying to get to Fort... I can't read cursive, so... Cat something. You're trying to get to here with your guy and then set camp.
Okay, so it's kind of like a race to the end of the river.
Yep.
And why are they racing on a river?
Because it makes a good game.
I was trying to refer to the theme of the game. What is the theme of the game?
Lewis and Clark.
Yeah. And what did Lewis and Clark do?
Go down the river.
And why did they ride on the river?
To explore the new territories of the United States. They have just purchased.
Yep. Okay. Now let's get back to how the game is played. So how do you get to the end of the river? What do you do in the game?
Use these cards to move. Well, some of them help you move, some of them help you do other things.
And these are some.
Those are the so you have a hand of cards like this, and you're trying to play them. Some give you resources, some do special things, and some move you along the river for a certain cost.
You start out with some.
Starting cards?
Yeah, and these are starting cards right here.
Okay. Does everybody start with the same cards?
No, but they do the same thing.
Yeah, they have different names, right? So what's special about these cards? What's on there? On each card?
Character from the Lewis and Clark's Expedition.
Yeah. And I found it pretty cool that at the end of the instruction book, they explain what each character did in the expedition.
Well, for one character didn't do anything.
And oftentimes, the ability on the card kind of matches what they do. Yeah, sometimes the characters didn't do much, but they're still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they even have quotes from journals that were taken.
They do?
Yeah.
Where?
In the instructions, when they're describing some of those things that I was reading off were actual quotes from the journal. So, you play these cards, they let you move along the river. Give me, like, the breakdown of a turn. What do you do on a turn?
You get to play a card, then you put a card under it for power.
You have to play a card.
You have to play a card. Or you could play an Indian to the Indian camp, right?
Yeah, so the two things you have to do while these, you can play a card down and then put another card from your hand under that card to provide power for it. So this is how much power they provide.
So that one's showing one Indian, so one power.
Yep, and you can put more Indians on there to get more power.
Okay. And what do the additional powers help with? What do they? Would you want more power?
Because the more power you get, the more times you get to do this. So this guy, if we played this one power under this guy which says one wood, that you can turn in one wood for one canoe. You can do that once. If you have 2 power under him, you can do that up to 2 times.
Okay. Then
the other action on your turn is you can take an Indian from your boats and put him on one of these spots.
And do the action that's associated with the spot. Okay.
And this spot doesn't do anything. That's for later. A certain card does something with that spot. It makes all the Indians pull into there, and then you can take as many of as you want.
And add to your
a certain
boats.
guy that does that.
Okay.
For yellow, it's this guy.
So you can take, on your turn, you have to either play a card or play an Indian into the Indian camp area. And then after you do that, what can you do?
After that, you can, these are both optional, you don't have to do either one. You can set camp, which means you move your guy back a certain amount of spaces equal to the time you've spent. So you can see each of these boats, it costs a certain amount of time. So like on this one, it costs 1 time if you have something in this boat. It costs 1 time for each thing you have in this boat. Then you can, and then so you count up all your time and then add the number of cards you still got in your hand to your time. You move your guy back that many spaces, and you put this little camp thing on the space that he is on.
Yeah.
First one to get their camp to here wins.
Exactly. All right.
Or you could buy a card for furs.
Not or. It could be both if you wanted to.
Or.
Or.
You can buy a card for equipment and fur.
Yeah. And you can do that once per turn.
Mm-hmm.
That is pretty much the game, right? A lot of the game is about hand management, being able to know when to play a card. Because a lot of times when you play a card and you're gathering resources with that card, like maybe you're gathering wood, how much wood do you get is dependent upon what?
How many of these icons there are showing wood out like this one.
Not only on your cards, but the other players in the game's cards.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of timing involved, and sometimes you get a lot of resources, but you
don't want them.
Yeah.
Because the more you get, the more time it takes.
Yeah, like here, it takes 1 time for every
resource you put in there.
This takes 1 time no matter how much. This is free. For Indians, 1 time for every Indian and 1 Indian for free.
Yeah, each of those boats. And you can buy more boats, right?
Yep, right here, if you go here to this spot with one of your Indians, you get to buy more boats.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of this game? Quinn, what do you think? I know you're not crazy about it, am I right?
I rank 1 to 10, 2.5.
2.5. Now, on a Quinn ranking, I don't think I've ever heard anything rank above a 5. So 2.5 is right in the middle.
Actually, I ranked Legendary on a 9.5.
Well, yeah, there are some exceptions to the rule, yeah. You do like your Legendary.
And Magic is a 10.5.
Is there anything about Lewis and Clark, the game, that you do like, though?
It's good for making other games.
Good for making other games, yeah.
Did you make any other games like that?
No.
What do you think about the theme? Do you like the Lewis and Clark expedition? Does that interest you at all?
Sort of. Well, the theme for a game isn't so interesting.
The theme for the game? How about, have you learned anything playing the game about the Lewis and Clark expedition?
I know now some of the people that went on it.
Yeah. How about you, Egan? What do you think of the game?
I like it, but in the beginning it can get going pretty slow, but once you get lots more cards, you zoom along the path really fast.
Yeah, I agree. It can be a slow start.
It would be easier if they had motorboats.
And as for the theme, I like the theme because it's something interesting, for one thing. I don't know if it's that good of a theme for a game. I don't like the theme on the game. I just like the theme if it wasn't in the game.
Okay.
It won't be a theme it wasn't in the game.
Mostly because there was it was all that information about the people at the back of the instructions.
That's what you did like or didn't like?
That's one of the things I did like.
It won't be a theme if it was. If it wasn't on the game.
Anything else you guys like to add? Anything else you like to add? No? Well, thanks for your time. Now for my thoughts. Egan and Quinn have given theirs. Now for me, first off, let me say the artwork, beautiful. Every card has its own artwork. I love the colors. They're bright, vibrant. Can't say enough about the artwork of this game. As far as some of the things that can be learned by playing this game, there's an obvious historical element to this game, the Lewis and Clark expedition. You can talk about with your kids before or during or after about why there was the expedition, what happened, why it was done. Each of these cards at the back of the instruction booklet give a description of that character and what they did in the expedition, like we brought up. What we do is every time we flip up a new one, we read the background. It's a nice little flavor to the game. And, you can talk about, fur trading. Why are there furs in the game? What was that all about? You could talk about American Indians, some of our dark history, some of our present history with American Indians. And you could talk about not only our relations with them, but some of their history. So you can go on a lot of different historical tangents just by playing this game or them asking questions about it, which is usually how we learn in our houses. Questions are asked, and then we kind of delve into that and we go on tangents and we learn new things. And this game is great for that. Another learning element in this game is multiplication. Whenever you play a card, you also have to play a strength under it. Now that strength tells you how many times you can use the action on the card. So let's say you're gathering wood with a card, and you play 2 strength. Well, you look at all the wood icons on the table, maybe there's 3, and you can do the action twice, so you take 3 times 2, 6. Maybe your child is just learning multiplication or doesn't know multiplication. This would be a great time to bring it up. So going back to that example, you could say to them, oh, well, there's 3 wood icons, so let's take one group of 3. You have a strength of 2, so we're going to do actually 2 groups of 3. We have our 2 groups of 3, we put them together, we have 6 total. And that's just a nice introduction to multiplication. You could teach it however you'd like. So you have the historical, you have the multiplication. I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting. Feel free to bring those up in the comments. As far as my thoughts on the game, I like playing it. It's very tactical with your hand management and knowing when to add resources to your boats and how many, and knowing when to play the cards, because it depends a lot upon what other people are playing at the time. So I enjoy the game. The reason maybe Quinn doesn't like it, maybe if it was fantasy themed, he'd like it. But he will make games with these pieces, which is great. Great use of his imagination. And when he's motivated like that, that's when he is really learning. So if he's trying to spell a word on the game that he's creating, or he's trying to write a word and he needs to know how to spell it, he's going to remember when I tell him how to spell that word for future times. And I don't have anything else to add. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.